Hello and a very warm welcome to the Late Breaking F1 podcast presented by Harry Eade, Sam Sage and me, Ben Hocking. It's a British Grand Prix preview, but it's no ordinary British Grand Prix preview because we are here live, Piccadilly, Williams Fan Zone event. How are you both?
This is a bit mental.
It's a bit weird, isn't it?
This is a bit much.
I like that there is actually noise in the background to prove that we are here.
We are here. Yeah, there's a camera, folks. So if you're listening to the normal audio version, you can go onto YouTube and watch us here at the Fan Zone.
We are here.
Yeah. It's all down there.
It's all down there. They're queuing up already for Alex Albon. A lovely gentleman has already come to give us a bag of whirly bars.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jake, his name was. Sam's just going to get it out now for the viewer. There you go. You can hear it rustling. Lovely.
You're just gonna have, if you're listening and not watching,
That's a horrible noise for all audio-only listeners, but, you know, whirly bars are king. They are the king.
Yeah.
So it's weird enough when all three of us are together in the first place, but let alone at an event like this. So, today's episode will be normal in some regards, in that we have some of the ordinary topics that we would always have on a preview. We've got back and forth, which is the most normal thing that this podcast does.
Nice.
But we are going to have one or two things that are very specific to this event, so keep tuned for that. We'll start, though, with British Grand Prix preview and Lando Norris and McLaren. So, we had the Austrian Grand Prix last time out where Lando Norris, coming into it, only had one top 8 finish all season and just 12 points overall. He doubled his tally thanks to a 4th place finish
Did all right, didn't
Austria. He did all right.
Did all right.
Even better news, though, for McLaren. Lando Norris had some upgrades in Austria. Piastri's going to have them too.
Whee.
I mean, he just a poor lad trailing around at the back there.
Tough, wasn't it?
It was a tough one to watch your teammate get almost a podium.
Yeah.
The question is, we're just going to discard Red Bull. They don't exist, as we established on the last episode.
They're too good.
So, can McLaren challenge for P2, the second best team on the day? What do you think, Sam?
Well, I mean, there's some differences, isn't there, between Austria and Silverstone as a track. Austria's got what?
Different countries, mate.
Yeah, that's true. Different country, different spellings.
He's got a great point.
Yeah. One is mainland Europe, one is an island. Anyway, my point being here is there are different dimensions to the track. So the characteristics of those upgrades were to allow for McLaren to not be an absolute boat in a straight line. Of course, they improved that. We saw the fact that, Norris was able to keep up with Leclerc and Sainz when he was trailing those guys in the DRS. He managed to get past Hamilton. Essentially, they outperformed the Mercedes Works team in the first go-round. So it'll be interesting to see how the McLaren upgrades perform on a more technical track, which is, of course, Silverstone. It's got a lot more sweeping corners, a lot more, corners generally.
Nice.
It's got a few.
Austria's pretty short.
Yeah, just like me. And
intense.
And intense.
Sorry.
If I was a circuit, I'd be Austria. Anyway, so my point here is, first, it's going to be great to see what Piastri could do in a competitive car. But I do believe that if the car performs as well as it did in Austria, they've got every chance of fighting Aston, Ferrari, Mercedes for being... The fight from 3rd, if Perez performs, down to about 8th, could be mental.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
I didn't even think as well, you mentioned something there about how they outperformed like the factory Mercedes team.
Yeah.
Mercedes were essentially the 3rd fastest car with a Mercedes power unit in Austria.
They suck right now.
That ain't great.
No. Lewis, we know the car is rubbish. Please drive it.
Please drive it.
Honestly.
Okay, Papa Toto.
Oh, Papa Toto. Papa Toto. Good.
One of the best team radios we've had all season, I think. Harry, when it comes to McLaren, what do you think is achievable for them? Do you think the second best team is an option for them?
A second best is... Do you know what? It's so tough. We said this in the last episode. It's so tough to know where the rest of the field stand. Because it fluctuates every race. So Austria was really good for, I guess, the upgraded McLaren. But based on the evidence of this year, they could be, 15th to 16th again by the time
both out in Q1.
Yeah. It's really... And as you say, Austria is a very different track. I think what's encouraging for what's encouraging for McLaren is that where they've struggled on the straights. Austria's got a lot of them, and they were pretty good, relatively so. So that bodes well in itself. I guess the question is, how do they do in the corners now that they've maybe the
just
drag
complete reverse.
Yeah.
They can't do corners now.
They can do straights, not corners.
They're literally just a rocket ship.
Yeah.
They cannot turn.
But you're right, though. I mean, it would have been encouraging enough if it happened at, say, Monaco, but the fact that it happened at Austria is even better.
That's kind of my point. So I guess there's still a few question marks, but I think that it bodes well for them that they could be there. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to I wouldn't put any money on them being second best because, I mean, anyone could be second best this race.
We could be second best.
I wouldn't go that far.
Second best in everything we've ever done. Pollock Racing could be second best.
Exactly. So, it's going to be a tricky one. Look, it's a tricky one for Macca. But I hope that they're up there because, as Sam said, it could be very spicy.
Well, I put out a tweet the other day saying that if you were to, and we've all said this before, that if, both Red Bull cars were piloted by someone of Perez's standard, then that fight for the front 2 or 3 spots is down to now about 10 different cars in theory. Across the teams, you could have everyone ranging from Hamilton and Alonso all the way down to potentially now Norris and Russell and Piastri could be fighting there. Leclerc and Sainz have had a bounce back. That Ferrari's been the fastest car other than Red Bull, arguably in the last 2 Grand Prix. So it's anyone's game. It literally could be picked up, second down to 10th by literally anyone.
It really could. I think every time I've predicted who will be the second fastest team on a race weekend, I've got it horribly wrong. So, hey, the bold predictions are stacking up okay, so I'm fine on that front. But if it was a pick who the second fastest team is on a race weekend, I'd be stumped. My instinct here is that it might be Mercedes, and I know they had an awful Austrian Grand Prix by their standards. I don't know where the apology is yet from Toto Wolff and the gang, but
still writing it.
Yeah, they might as well get on with it. But I have an instinct here that they might be the second fastest team.
A brilliant upgrade, right?
Well, there's that. I know they were. I was going to say they are pretty confident that their car might well suit Silverstone.
Didn't we have this last year as well? Exactly the same.
And they were really good at Silverstone.
And they were quite good.
They nearly won, to be fair.
My only trepidation with that is that they thought that Austria might not be too bad for them either, and that wasn't great. So they are also using the 3 hardest tyre compounds this weekend, which generally suits the Mercedes.
Yeah.
They had the same sort of tyre compounds at Spain, as an example, and they did all right there. So I think it will be Mercedes, but actually, could McLaren be in the mix? Absolutely, they could be. It could be Ferrari don't generally suit the harder tyres. Aston Martin, couple of iffy races in a row. So
Canada's pretty good.
But since Alonso barks on about never being off the podium again, it's not actually gone particularly well. They had to
1 out of 2.
Yeah, but they had to resort to demanding the entire recount of a race to even move up a place last time
I'll
out.
tell you that they're big brain straps.
They're back. They're back.
Pace-wise, I don't think it was great for them. No. Austria, like you say, Canada was a bit better, but then Spain wasn't good either. So I think it's there for the taking. The question is,
who's going to take it?
The question is, who's going to take it?
Just reach out and grab it, lads.
The question might well be, can Piastri get up to speed with the upgrades quick enough? Do you think there's any pressure on him first weekend with something that's more competitive, or does he have a bit more of a grace period?
This feels like the first chance that Piastri has realistically got to actually prove himself. That car has been naff, not ideal for most of the season so far. And I think realistically, he's done fine, right? We're not looking at him and going, you've let yourself down, you've been rubbish. We're all aware that McLaren haven't been good. And Piastri has just been dealing with it, as much as Norris has been dealing with it. And no one expects Piastri to come out here and smash Norris season 1. I think for me, expectations are, if that car is as good as it was in Austria, let's say they're fighting for 3rd to 6th place here, comfortably, I'd like Piastri to finish maybe 5 to 10 seconds behind Norris across the whole race distance, 1 position behind maybe. I don't want there to be a gulf. I don't want Norris to be 4th and Piastri to be in 10th. I feel like that is a bit of a, you could do better here. Just because he's not been at the front before doesn't mean he isn't capable. We saw it with the likes of Leclerc the moment he stepped up to Ferrari. He was great. I know he had the Sauber, but Piastri really is considered a bit of a prodigy. He's considered a bit of a generational talent. And to maintain that belief and that ability that he has, I do want to see a couple of tenths off Norris in qualifying, a position behind with a few seconds across the race. Not smashing him, but with him, keeping up,
What do you think, Aaron?
Oh, he's going to win.
He's going to win it?
He's going to win. But get the boldometer out.
Where is it?
Hey, actually, good point. Just
go on. Well, there you go.
This doesn't translate to audio format.
Not at all.
Sorry. Yeah. You have to watch video, everyone.
And also, your arrow's a bit dangly there, mate.
Your arrow's a bit dangly.
That's inappropriate.
Whoa, come on.
You have to get an adult rating on that.
Public place here. I'm with Sam with this. Piastri doesn't need to necessarily start beating Norris with these upgrades. I think what hasn't helped Piastri is that Norris got the upgrades first, which fair dues. They only had 1 set. But also they gave it to Norris on the track. Apparently he's just an absolute G at.
God,
he's just
Norris.
really good. So I'm not saying that Norris, outperformed the car, but it helped him along, I think. So I think if they're necessarily expecting Piastri to do the same sort of thing, that would be unfair. But I think he's going to prove he's within the realms of whatever Norris can do.
Regular Norris, not like beefed up Norris from Austria.
Yeah. Not Austrian Norris.
Austrian Norris. I think the other thing that was incredibly clever from Lando Norris, which helped his result and his racecraft, was he tapped into the DRS of others, didn't he? He was being essentially he pulled up his chariot and fixed it to the stallions of Ferrari, and he was pulled along throughout that Grand Prix. And I think if he fell outside that DRS zone, he might have been quite far off the pack coming into the race. I don't think he had the ultimate pace to really keep up with them, should it be, I don't know, maybe a Monaco or a Hungary.
Yeah, because I guess he did fall outside of the DRS range, but the fighting between...
back in.
Rather than pure pace, probably.
Yeah.
I think probably most encouraging thing for Lando Norris and McLaren is that we saw with Spain that a good qualifying performance can be found from that McLaren. That was when Norris started on the second row, and we had the same thing here at Austria. But back at Spain, Norris was cautious to be too optimistic and thought that race pace-wise they just wouldn't be on it. Now, I know he was taken out, he didn't make it past the first two corners, but pace-wise, in terms of the race, he never quite had it.
Yeah.
Here, the qualifying pace did translate to the Grand Prix. So whether Piastri can do the same or not, that remains to be seen. I think, to be honest, Piastri just needs a solid weekend where he can have a slightly better than awful car. Like, if he can...
You think points is fair? Just any points?
Qualify P8, finish P7. Great.
Yeah, solid. Really comfortable, solid weekend. Yeah.
I don't think he needs to set the world alight. I think he does have time on his side. I don't think anyone's saying, he's under pressure. This is where he's one of your two under pressure submissions later on now.
It's all of ours, everyone.
Every single one.
Piastri for life.
Yeah. But I think overall he's got some races to get into this new car, and if the car is on the pace that Lando Norris showed last time out, there's some big point scores coming his way, I think.
Nice.
Love that. Good stuff.
Shall we have a look at pole 1, 2, 3?
Before bold predictions?
That's mad.
Did we do that?
I was thinking if we did pole 1, 2, 3 first, then we do bold predictions.
Oh yeah, I know why. Sorry, Ben. Carry on.
Pole 1, 2. Pole 1, 2, 3, Sam.
I mean, we're going to pretend like it doesn't exist. So pole doesn't exist anymore, but it will be Verstappen. Mm-hmm.
We'll still say it exists.
Okay, fine.
It's not a sprint race.
That's true. Hey, let's not have another argument.
That's the worst noise ever made on this podcast.
Can we clip that? Can we clip that for the sample? That was vile.
This sucks.
Anyway, sorry, folks. Pole is going to be Verstappen. The wing, I think, will still be Verstappen. I think Perez is going to get the confidence boost. I think he's going to take second place. And then I think third will be Lewis Hamilton.
I haven't got much of a variety on that.
Good.
I think, unbelievably,
right,
Max Verstappen.
Not heard this before.
For pole position.
Not heard of him.
Oh, Phil, you crazy.
Yeah, that is bold.
Get the boldometer out. I mean,
that's full Bruce Willis.
Something. I also think, not just pole, he's going to take the race win.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I mean it. He's going to take the race win. Yeah.
He's serious. Very serious about it.
The only difference then is I've switched the other two drivers around, so I've got Lewis Hamilton in second and Sergio Perez in third. Harry, you
my go. Well, this sort of ruins my bold prediction, but I'll carry on.
Sure.
Pole, Max Verstappen.
I thought that was for a minute. I thought that was going to be your
What a spoiler that is.
But the win, Sergio Perez.
Ooh.
Second, Lewis Hamilton. And third,
Shaq's come out.
Carlos Sainz.
Nah, what's happened to Verstappen, mate?
Well, you'll have to find out.
Happened to Verstappen.
Pardon?
Did he oversleep?
Yeah,
he's not making it.
He's 4 laps behind.
He's still in Austria. Yeah.
If he started with a 4-lap disadvantage, I still think he'd win.
Shall we come up with a new segment called What's Happened to Verstappen?
That sounds too much like
Is
Jolyon Palmer segment. We're not on that.
I've not heard of that segment before.
And you never will.
That's true.
Good.
Lost content.
Oh dear.
Right, so okay, I won't spoil the actual bold prediction element of it, but we will go on to bold predictions now.
Okay.
So it might as well lead into you, actually.
I'm so confused why this all is happening.
My bold prediction is that Fernando... No, it's not that. Verstappen's not going to be on the podium. He's not very good at Silverstone. And when I say not very good, something
his
happens to
car
him.
broke last year.
I know, then the year before he got punted
Do you
off.
remember
But
in,
it just doesn't
in
work for him.
qualifying that in the wet he literally just get looped to a full 360 and it was just like, on my way, just carried on.
Never mind.
Oh, might be both of them, yeah.
Lots of them did it. Yeah, never mind.
Never mind. Yeah, that's my. I'm going off the past 2 years. He's 1 year didn't finish. The other year's barely in the points.
So let's
Bogey track.
Let's just say that is your bold prediction. That's set.
Correct.
Do you want to add an additional, not counting prediction of why?
Yeah, it doesn't count. What's your reasoning?
Hadn't thought of a why, but let's
You don't
say he overslept. Let's go with that.
All right.
Yeah, it's very logical. That seems a
welcome.
lot in Formula 1.
You are welcome.
Good thing that's not included in your bold prediction, I'd guess. But thank you for that.
You're welcome.
What have you got, Sam?
I have a question to ask.
What do you mean? A bold prediction? You don't ask questions.
Well, I want to repeat my previous one, but you say it wasn't allowed.
What was your previous one?
It's not allowed,
So
mate.
McLaren's in the points.
Well, it's not bold anymore.
That hasn't happened yet.
Well, they've got...
It is Australia.
Lando Norris was 4th last week, and now Piastri's got the same car.
That's
on camera.
That finger.
It's just to blur Sam's middle finger now.
The diva's back at it.
Okay, no, fine. I'll change it up. I think in qualifying there will be less than 2 tenths between 3rd place and 8th place.
That's oddly specific, but good.
Yeah.
We have to really concentrate at the end of qualifying.
Let's
Sam,
just
right.
say it's right now, and we can have a fun time.
Move on with our life.
Yeah, just give me a point. Please give me a point.
Plus,
Thank what you got.
I need them. I'm going fairly bold with this.
Oh boy.
Fairly bold. Guess how many points Aston Martin are going to score this weekend?
43.
None.
0.
Oh.
No points.
Caught
for
me on the
Aston
flip
Martin.
side there.
Also 43 in one weekend.
Well, you can get 43.
Yeah,
The problem is
first
we've
and
already done
second.
pole 1, 2, 3, and I didn't say any of them.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's a very fair point.
I'd have been playing against myself. But yeah, I'm going to
playful.
go no points for Aston Martin whatsoever.
Good lord.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be back discussing more about Max Verstappen after this.
Take a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Should